to Bennystake. I'm your girl Benny, and today we're gonna be making the yummiest, laziest peppered goat you've ever had in your entire life. It's gonna be super easy, super delicious, because you know what I'm saying, like you know when you get new pots and you just want to be cooking for no reason, and I care about y'all, so I'm trying to put y'all on the ways in which you can make your peppered goat. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload, and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, before you do anything, obviously you have to wash your meat, and I know a lot of you might be tempted to go ahead and use Fabuloso. I ask that you do not, but wash your meat, and I put it on this little, you know, saucepan that I got off of Amazon. Everything is gonna be linked in my bio. And right now I put very little water, not a lot of water. I'm gonna go ahead and cover it first, bring it to a boil, and then I'm gonna throw out this water because I don't want this initial. You see how it's a little bit red looking? I don't like that. So I'm gonna boil it first, throw out that water, and then I'm gonna add more water. And while the goat is boiling, we're gonna go ahead and chop up 3 tomatoes, a little habanero pepper. We have half of orange pepper, and I also have these 2 that I just wanna use up. We're gonna chop these up. You don't have to chop them up in small pieces. We're just roasting them a little bit to give it some flavor. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and season this with a little bit of salt. I am using Himalayan salt, but you use whatever you want. And then we're gonna follow it up with this lineup, a little bit of black pepper, nothing too crazy. Then we're gonna do a little onion powder. Now granted, we will use, you know, fresh onion as well later on, but we're layering, right? Because when you cook, it's important to layer. This is garlic powder, and we're gonna, oh shoot, this is not ginger, this is this is smoked paprika, but I don't know why I put it in the ginger container. And then we are going to go ahead and mix it up and let it roast in the oven until everything is nice and tender. And at this point, the meat has fully boiled, so we're just gonna go ahead and dump this water. So we have most of them submerged already, except this stubborn one, obviously. And at this point, you wanna go ahead and reduce the heat. When I had it boiling at first, I literally put it on high. Now, we want to go ahead and turn the heat down a little bit. I'm gonna put it like around 3, because again, the thing with goat, if you do not let it cook down, you will be chewing for the entire village. So don't do that. Just let it cook slowly but surely. This is a lazy meal, but you still have to be intentional. Now you're gonna go ahead and season this as well. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, nothing too crazy, just yay salt. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the smoked paprika. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. Pretty much the same thing I seasoned the veggies with. That's what I'm going to season this as well. I'm adding some onion powder. And honestly, I do not measure my seasoning because I feel like I know what I like, and so I put accordingly. But if you have to measure, please start using, like, you know, a tablespoon first and then make your way up. This is the ginger that I was supposed to transfer into the other container, but I love ginger a lot, especially fresh ginger. But when I do not have fresh ginger, I typically just use the powdered one. And I'm usually generous with my ginger, because ginger is good for you. Generally, it's good for you. And this one here is crayfish. I don't know if most people know it, but it's I don't want to say it's a spice. It's just like a thing that has like a lot of flavor. If you're non-African, please go ahead and visit your local African store. You will be sure to find a lot of crayfish. So I'm just gonna add that to that, mix it all well. And again, we're cooking this as low as possible. We're gonna cook this until, you know, it's softened, because otherwise you people will be chewing. And before I forget, I'm also gonna add one of these, you know, bouillon powder, to just like add it to give a little bit more flavor. This is why I didn't go crazy on the salt, because this bouillon tends to already have a little bit of salt, so you don't wanna, you know, OD. Unless of course you want people to start getting high blood pressure, but that is never the goal, so don't do that. Just gonna mix this all up. And before you get ready to sit down, we're just gonna do one last chopping. We're gonna go ahead and chop all of our veggies, which now at this point is only we're gonna go ahead and chop our onions. So that's what we'll do next. We're gonna go ahead and chop this much of an onion. It's nothing too bad. These came out of the oven and they look absolutely delicious. It has a little bit of that charring on the ends, which is exactly what we want. And now we're gonna go ahead and blend it all. So we've cooked our meat down to the point where it looks like this. I'm just gonna go ahead and drizzle very little olive oil. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the onions. There we go. Now, we've already cooked down the meat already, so it's very tender. We've already cooked down the meat and it's very tender. So now I'm just gonna add a spoonful of minced garlic. Matter of fact, I'm gonna add a little bit because I like fresh garlic. You're gonna turn it around and cook these babies up just like that. Let it cook for a little bit. Keep stirring. Do not go sit down or whatever the case is. I'm gonna turn the heat back up a little because I lowered it so it could simmer. Now we can bring it back up. And right now I'm just giving it a chance to saute itself with the fresh onion and the garlic. That way everything, you know, has a lot of flavor. We're building up the layers of flavor. We already did the powdered seasonings and stuff like that. Now we're using fresh ones to add that extra layer of flavor. And I personally don't think you need to fry your meats. If you just saute, I like it like this. And this is gonna give you like a nice little browning without losing the integrity of the meat. Now we're gonna go ahead and just like drizzle the peppers that we had blended before. And we're gonna rinse this and just like add a little bit of water to this to let it simmer, and then we'll be all set. I tasted mine and it needs a little bit of salt. So I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit, nothing too crazy, because remember again, we had put a little bit of the peppers. We had put a little bit of the salt on the peppers. So I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit more. I'd rather have room to add than overdo. You know what I'm saying? Let me flip you guys over so you guys can see. This is what we're working with. We're just gonna let this simmer for a little bit. As you can tell, it charred a little bit at the corners. I like that because that little smokiness will give it extra flavor. But if you don't like that, just keep stirring it as often as possible. Alright, so it is fully cooked, you guys. Like, smell it. Go ahead and smell it. This smells so good. Granted, it's a meal that's a labor of love, but it's not hard to make, right? Follow all the steps that I showed you, and I'm about to serve mine with some rice and some sweet plantains, baby. Let me just show y'all, because y'all playing with me. Y'all playing with me. That's what the problem is.